it's me, Brandy, and welcome back to Astro-Tarot Research. We have another great reading for you today, and this week's reading is what attracts people to you, or me, however I want to phrase that in the title, but basically what is attracting people to you, and this could be romantically or in a friendship sense. It just depends on how the messages come in. But before we get into that, I do want to remind you to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell to stay notified of future readings. You can also follow me on Instagram at Astro_Tarot Research, and let's just go into these piles, right? We have pile number 1, pile number 2, pile number 3, pile number 4, and pile number 5. So let's not waste any more time and just sit back, relax, and choose. Okay, astronauts, if you've chosen pile number 1, let's get started on your reading and what attracts people to you. We have the 8 of Cups. We have the Queen of Wands. We have the, we have the 8 of Swords. We have the 9 of Cups. We have the Hierophant, and we have the Moon Soul. Alright, so 8 of Cups right away lets me know what attracts people to you is simply you are just an attractive person overall in general. And not only that, but it seems like you're a little bit more reserved, okay? I only say that because when we have the 8 of Swords here, that somebody's not showing their true self. And the Queen of Wands upright is a little bit more animated, a little bit more encouraging, and a little bit more sociable. So I think people like that you're a very beautiful person on the outside, but then you're also somebody who's kind of like, I don't know if quiet's the right word, but a little bit maybe more shy, laid back, not as like very openly friendly. That's not to say that you aren't a friendly person. It's just saying that you're not like actively going out there trying to make connections all the time, okay? That's something that people will like about you. So with the moon here, it does indicate that you are someone who is more than likely loving to learn, because I always get the moon as a card that represents somebody who has a strong desire towards knowledge. That's why you have all these moon rule people who are these discoverers and inventors, and you can learn more about that in my other channel with astrology. But moon rule people tend to like tinkering with things and messing with things and inventing things and traveling and expanding their mind, because the moon rules the mind. And not only that, but with the 8 of Cups here and that card being connected to moving, this can feel like other people are attracted to that. Maybe you come off like you're, I don't want to use the word exotic, but I want to use the word like you're from a foreign land, or you're like alien, or you just look different, or your way of thinking could possibly be different. Possibly even your style of dress or career. I do get the Queen of Wands to represent somebody who is very career oriented, but not only that, but she focuses a lot on, you know, looking good as well as feeling good and being like the best ambitious version of herself, okay? She's very much a go-getter. Now in this case it's reversed, so I guess the ambition is a little bit more dialed back. But what can attract people to you is maybe you have a more quiet ambition. Maybe you're the type to move in silence. Maybe that's all that's saying here. But as I was saying, people do pick up on the fact that you are a go-getter. And I do see the moon rule placements in Vedic astrology, which would be Asta, and gosh, I can't remember, Rohini and Shravana. They are very much good placements for making money, getting promotions, getting ahead, and being able to sustain stability. I've seen that more so than any other placements in the in the Vedic earth signs, okay? And with the Hierophant here, and that being the sign of Taurus, we're definitely talking about what can attract people to you. Could be that you are responsible with your money, or you look like you would be responsible with your money. The Hierophant I also get to connect to aesthetics sometimes, but it's usually aesthetics like, oh, that person looks like they own something that looks nice, okay? So not only do you look nice, but maybe the things you own look nice, because the Hierophant is connected to the sign of Taurus, and the sign of Taurus is connected to things that you own, things that you value, so your valuables. So that's going to attract some people to you, the things that you personally own. Maybe you have a cool phone case, or maybe you have a nice car, maybe you have some nice nails, so you just general aesthetics. Maybe you have a nice home. The list can go on and on. And then something that's also noted and very important, when it comes to moon replacements, their hair is kind of like their crown. So I would mention that your hair, just off of a physical characteristic, is going to be something that draws a lot of people into you. Something about it maybe stands out. Possibly it's got a cool, you have a cool, unique style. Maybe you have a different color. Maybe you have a lot of hair. Maybe your hair is shaved. But something about your hair is very distinct for people. Another thing that we have here is the Nine of Cups, which I haven't even gotten into, is that they feel like, because we have the Eight of Cups and the Nine of Cups in the same reading, what attracts people to you is the fact that you are able to go out and say, hey, I'm going to go do this, and then you actually get it done and you actually get it accomplished. People see that you're a person who is true to their word, or a person who, when they set their mind to something, even though you're not boasting about it, you're not like saying, hey, look what I've done, look what I've done. They see you reaching those goals and having a lot of happiness within you, because the Nine of Cups is that card of like, oh my gosh, I got what I want. I'm so happy. I'm so excited. My wish came true. So they're going to be interested in you or attracted to you, the fact that you are happy within yourself, or you're able to meet your goals. You're able to, as I said before, set your mind to something, accomplish it, and feel proud and happy about it. And the Nine of Cups is definitely a card that I get when it comes to more sharing as well. So they may even see that you're sharing your wealth, or maybe the fruits of your labor with other people. And the sign of Taurus also connects to fruits of your labor, like the things that you worked hard for and now you can share with others if you choose to. And it looks like you do seem more charitable and you do like to share. Another thing I get with the Nine of Cups, especially if it's connected to the Hierophant, both of these cards are connected to food. So I don't know, maybe you got some good food that you know, you're showing off on Instagram, social media. Maybe you're somebody who, if you, I don't know, still work in an office, or if you used to work in an office, you used to bring in really good food, or you used to buy the best food or something, or maybe even bought food for other people and you shared that as well. But that's attracting people to you, something related to food or consumption. It can even be drinks sometimes. I usually get it for I can get it for alcoholic beverages as well, like who's got the wine, who's bringing the best drinks, who's the person bringing that party punch or something like that. I don't know what people bring to house parties for drinks and stuff, but people can get pretty creative with cocktails. So I don't know if you're into that, but that's something that would attract people to you. They'd be like, man, this person's always got the good mimosas. They always know where to go to find the I can't even think of a drink right now, Cosmopolitans or something like that. So just having information of where to go to get the good food or good drinks, or where the party's at, because the Hierophant does connect to community, is going to be something that people really, really like about you, or what attracts them to you initially. The Moon I also get when what attracts people to a lot of moon ruled people is the fact that they have like these kind of like very approachable faces. How do I explain that? It's like a youthful face. Like, you know how some people, they just look like, I don't even know, I know there's a term for it. They look sort of like innocent, or they look like very sweet, or they look like, they look like a Disney Pixar person. You know, they have those like big eyes. They seem to be, who's someone who is moon ruled that I can think of right now? For some reason I can only think of Angelina Jolie, who has, does she have like big eyes? I think she does. She has eyes that definitely stand out. I'll say that. So, especially when she was younger, you can definitely see in her face that she did have that look of just being a little bit like innocent, sweet, kind of like a baby doll look. Like, you can look that up. A lot of moon ruled people will have that look. And I think there was actually a scientific study that said people who have that sort of baby innocent look tend to attract people because other people feel like they want to protect them or take care of them, or, you know, just be around them. They just look like friendly. You know what I mean when people say they have a friendly face. I don't need to explain the concept of a friendly face to you guys. I mean, you aren't idiots. So that's pretty much what would attract people to you. You probably have a very friendly looking face, or you probably have like a very like innocent demeanor or innocent vibe to you. That's something that's going to make you very, very approachable. And then moon ruled people, not only are they themselves can be very trusting, but other people may feel like, oh yeah, I can trust this person. I can give this person my secrets. Like, I can let them know this and that. Which is why the moon card in tarot is connected to secrecy, because quite often moon ruled people will have a lot of different secrets. They will have a lot of information. So people feel like they could tell you their secrets just based off of your general like vibe, appearance. Something about you just seems so comforting, like the moon being represented by the mother. So something just like childlike but comforting, or something like that. It's a strange dynamic with the moon, but that is pretty much the vibe that I see with people who have strong moon placements, meaning moon in the ascendant, moon ruled nakshatras, maybe certain planets conjunct moon, usually not sun though, not sun. But certain planets, maybe moon and Venus, that can create some sort of comfort and feeling like this person just has a lot of strong femininity and they're comforting presence. So that is what's really attracting people to you off the bat, okay? It's not particularly anything you say. It's more like the things that you do, more of the things you come and accomplish, the fact that you can be very sharing and giving, the fact that you have that sort of innocent aura to you, the fact that you also are very good looking, and the fact that you're kind of like a little bit more laid back and shy, and you're not someone who's like boistering all your confidence. You don't come off arrogant. You come off a little bit more humble. That's what people really like about you, pal number one. So I'm going to end that reading there, and hopefully that resonated with you, and I will see you guys next time. Au revoir. Hey pal number two, let's get started on your reading and what attracts people to you. We have the Knight of Cups. We have the Ten of Swords. We have the Five of Swords. We have the Wheel of Fortune. We have the Hangman. And we have First House. Alright guys. Straight off the bat, first house, you know, the body. So obviously your physical body is going to be attracting a lot of people to you. Similar to pile number one, what you look like is really bringing in people. Though pile number one was more their facial beauty, this is like your whole body is very, very attractive. Knight of Cups, any sort of court cards, Knights, Page of Cups, Queen of Cups, King of Cups. I usually get those cards to rule somebody who has a very model-esque sort of face. not sort of, they usually have a Model S face or a very, very pretty, attractive face, and then combined with the body, so they feel like physically you're the whole package. So off the bat, that's really attracting and throwing them in. Knight of Cups can also be a very charmer, like a very charming sort of personality, very friendly, very approachable, likes to go up to people and just, you know, start talking, making connections. All cups are about connections and partnerships, and, you know, just feeling those emotions, creating empathy, you know, building trust. It's all about trying to connect to others in an intimate and a deep, vulnerable way. So that's really drawing people into you, besides the physical, which is very attractive to most people, or at least it stands out. So maybe even if it's not like, even if you feel like you don't look like the best person or something, you may even just have an aesthetic that is absolutely gorgeous, refined in some way, or just very unique. And so that's also going to be the case. But as I was saying before, your personality comes off like you want to get to know people, like you really want to jump and dive in. Thing I've seen about the Knight of Cups is they try to get really friendly with people really fast, and they want to create that familiarity because they really want those connections. Obviously, the Knight of Cups has very like teenage energy, so they're very awkward about forming those connections. They may overshare a little bit, or they can be a little bit moody sometimes. So I always get the Knight of Cups to represent someone who can be hot and cold. Like they give you all that attention and then they pull away. And you may come off that way to some people. That doesn't necessarily mean you are that way. If anything, I've seen a lot of times when I get the Hangman, sometimes I get people who are very busy. So it can feel like you're giving a lot of intense emotion and pulling away, and it's probably having a lot to do with your work. And I only say that because, like I said before, Hangman I can get for work. It doesn't necessarily mean that your emotional state is unstable or some way, but for some people it can be a little bit. For some people it may be like people feel like you're coming off a little bit immature, but obviously this is what attracts people to you. So if you're coming off in a way that's a bit immature, then it seems like it's more positive aspects. More like, oh my gosh, that person is such a romantic. They still dream of, they're not like jaded. They still have a lot of hope. They still believe in fairy tales and happy endings, or they still believe in having this fantasy life, or maybe not fantasy life, it doesn't have to be, but you keep hope alive. That's something that I've noticed about the Knights, because if you just think about teenagers in comparison to adults, just think about yourself. I don't know if you are a teenager right now, but most of the people, you guys are like 25 plus watching, but just think about the thoughts that you had and the dreams and the fantasies that you had as a child versus your reality as an adult. And so what's bringing people in is that you're keeping that fantasy and that hope and that dream alive. So there's a strong youthfulness about you. 10 of Swords here, it's interesting, and the 5 of Swords, you would think these cards are being like very, very negative, and it's possible that you may be attracting some negativity, but I'm more than likely reading this from a perspective that what attracts people to you is going to be more positive things. That's what I'm focusing my energy on. So if I take this for a more positive interpretation, it's the sarcasm, it's the making fun of yourself, it's the being, you know how some people, they can be kind of mean, but they're funny about it. So I don't know if that's you, but that's something that would probably attract a lot of people. It's not like you're purposely trying to be a jerk. It's like you may make an observation that's like, why is that person's, you know, skirt look like it's, you know, a teapot? I can't think of anything funny to say right now. I'm not like a funny person, but but it's just like you'll say or do things that are funny, and that can be seen sarcastic or cutting or cutthroat. Or another thing that I've seen with this is, especially since we have the sign of Pisces, one thing about the sign of Pisces is that I have found that people find them to be the king and queens of shade. And I mean Vedic Pisces. So this is really more Aries and a little bit of Pisces in Western, like the very tail end. So like Mariah Carey, you have that video of her being like, you know, J-Lo who, or I don't know her. You have, I think William Shatner said the same thing about, gosh, what's the guy who was in Star Trek and he had beef with William Shatner. Gosh, I cannot remember his name. George. Dang. You know who I'm talking about. He had beef with George, and it was so funny because William Shatner said the same thing as Mariah Carey. He said, I don't know her. Oh, he said, I don't know him. Or he said, I don't really know him like that. Like, so, and there's that video of Aretha Franklin also has Aries in her chart. Either she was a sun in Aries or moon in Aries. And she has a video where she's talking about different celebrities. Like, oh, what do you think of this singer? Oh, she's beautiful. She has a great singing voice, great songwriter. And then she gets to Taylor Swift and she's like, they say, what do you think of Taylor Swift? She's like, oh, beautiful gowns. Like, it's like you can be like very queen or king of shade. Okay, so people may like that about you. They may like that you have that fierce tongue. Okay, so, or even when you're not even trying to be shady, it could just be like you're trying to be honest, but the truth is harsh. Okay, you're coming up with them harsh truths that people are liking about you, or drawing in to you from that. Okay, you're saying the things that people may be thinking, but they found a sweet way to say it. But you're over here just like saying it raw, no filter. So with the Wheel of Fortune here and what's attracting people to you as well, I just got this card for representing changeability, having a lot of different looks. This goes back to the first house, changing your style, changing your hair, changing your clothing, changing your nails, changing your attitude, changing your perspective. With the Hangman and the Wheel of Fortune combination, you have a changing perspective. It's the character development for me, okay? So you have that strong character development that really draws people in. You're going from A to Z. You're not the same person you were a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. You're constantly in that state of change. 10 of Swords, I've also gotten that to represent significant change because 10s are endings, right? 10s are like, we're done with this. This is over. We're starting a new chapter. And so that's something that will really draw people into you, and especially since we have all these swords, it's definitely about your way of thinking. You're really open to destroying ideas that no longer suit you and no longer work for you, and opinions that you're like, I don't actually think I have that opinion anymore. I don't actually think I have that thought anymore. I'm actually growing into a different person. So that is really what draws people in. They like that you change. They like that you don't stay stuck in the same way. And swords are extremely mutable, extremely changeable. And the fact that we don't have any pentacles here, it's like you don't have that solid, I mean, not saying you don't have that. This is what attracts people to you. But you don't, to them, the people that initially are drawn into you, they don't feel like you're somebody who's predictable. They don't feel like they can easily guess what you're going to do next. They don't feel like they have a good read or a great feel on you. They just understand that you're someone who, in a way, can be a little bit mysterious because the 12th house with the Hangman here connects to Pisces in the 12th house. There is a little bit of an element of mystery, but not a whole lot, not an extreme amount, because we have the first house here and that's like all out and open and stuff like that. But you do have a little bit of an element of mystery, and it definitely catches people off guard, the things that you say or the perceptions that you have, because it feels like you're constantly reevaluating, you're trying to change things, you may be thinking out loud sometimes, and that's really just drawing people in and making them curious as to how your mind works, or who you are as a person, what's your life like. Because the first house, let me tell you, if you get a planet transit in your first house, I never really understood the effects. Like, I've been studying astrology for a long time, but when you have major planets like Jupiter and Saturn transit your first house, when astrologers say, man, that really is about making changes in your whole life, you don't really understand until you are in that energy, and it really is about changing your entire life. So people get really attracted to just every single aspect about you. They want to know what's your family dynamics like, girl, what do you value? They want to know your skills. They want to know the things that you know, your thoughts. They want to know where you come from, your perspectives, your friends. They're really trying to get a full understanding. I mean, you can look at the Wheel of Fortune. It even looks like the natal chart wheel, and it's just this full rounded picture. They're trying to understand everything about you, and just saying, just kind of everything's just really drawing them in. This unique combination that has come up to be you, that puzzle piece being pulled together. Because the Hangman definitely represents to solving puzzles, or kind of bringing those thoughts together to have that aha moment. So that's really drawing people into you personally. This may be kind of bright. I just noticed that the camera. Let's dial it back some. But yeah, that's really drawing people in, the overall archingness, everything. Okay, everything's like, whoa, what is going on here? Like, how did this person come to be? So that really attracts people to you, but it's really a strong focus on your thoughts and how you communicate that, and also obviously, as I say, your appearance. That really gives some people some things to think about, okay, or really just captures their attention. So that is what I have for you, pal number 2. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram, and I hope to see you next week. Au revoir. Hey, pal number 3, let's not waste any more time and get started on your reading. We have the Hierophant, we have the Fool, we have the the Knight of Pentacles, we have the Lovers. I don't know, I'm just sloppily throwing this around. We have the Queen of Swords, and we have North Node. Move this little plant a little bit. Alright, so what attracts people to you? Interesting how we have the Hierophant first. So it makes me believe, when I have the Hierophant first, is that generally what's going to attract people to you is either going to be your opinions, basically what it is that you believe in, or that you take a lot of thought and opinions in, if that makes sense. Like, you know how people have political parties, and then those political parties are attached to beliefs like, you know, pro-life versus, for some reason I can't think of the other one. Pro-life versus, what is it? Is it women's rights? Wow, why am I blanking on something so easily rememberable? But pro-life versus the opposite, pro-choice. There we go. God, that really bothered me. Like, I forgot that. Pro-life versus pro-choice. Before gay marriage was legal, gay marriage versus not gay marriage. Now one of the topics I think is like legalization of certain substances versus not legalizing it. So that's going to be something that attracts people to you, your opinions on certain matters, and how you come to rationalize those thoughts and opinions, because we do have the Hierophant and the Lovers. So that's somebody who has a foundational belief system, and then the Lovers gets to be about discovering other people's beliefs and really refining your own, and really going out there and cultivating those beliefs, or dropping them if you need to. But really it's about trying to gain information regarding what you have been taught and expanding on that foundation. But for the most part, what's attracting people to you is your thought process on certain things. I know one thing that I've seen pop up quite frequently lately. I don't know if this is due to the popularity of TikTok, or if the pandemic has put people in this frame of mind, but I've seen a lot of videos on pretty privilege and things like that. So if you're someone who makes videos and commentary on cultural thoughts and ideas and systems, such as pretty privilege, that could be something that attracts people to you. Or even if you don't need to make videos, you could just have a thought and opinion on it. And those thoughts and those words and those opinions are really drawing people in, and people are finding a sense of relatability to it. Not only that, but they also understand that you bring a very unique perspective. With the North Node here, I get this card to be somebody who's kind of like that outsider, who's coming in, who's a little bit of an underdog, who is there to shape them and mold themselves to fit society in some regards for some of the placements. But really, this person's an outlier, okay? They're a wild card. The North Node, I always get to represent someone who has full creative control. I see these people described often as geniuses. I see them described as individuals who are rebellious. Sometimes they, like I said, sometimes they can be very conformist or be very much like trying to stick within the crowd, but that's only because they want that acceptance. And a lot of the times with the higher placements of the North Node, they can isolate themselves because their uniqueness, their perspective is so layered. They have so many thoughts and so many ways that they analyze different situations that it can feel like, how do I explain that? It can feel like they aren't being mentally stimulated, or they aren't being truly appreciated and understood for their ideas or their crafts. So your ideas and how you put yourself out there, the opinions you have, the thoughts that you have are really, really drawing people in and really attract them to you. Not only that, but then a very obvious interpretation of these cards would be the people you hang out with, because the Hierophant is your community. So you could be hanging out with friends or family members who just attract a lot of different people, and that's going to attract people to you based off of, you know, who you're hanging with. You might be hanging with some people who people find really, really interesting. Not that you are not interesting within yourself, but it may be those people who initially draw people in, and then they see you and they're like, wow, this person has such a very unique perspective and a very insightful perspective. Especially with the Fool card here, that means you're bringing something new to the table. You're bringing some new revelation or idea. We really get that theme for you. The Fool in itself, I did a video of, let me phrase this, let me backtrack it so I don't confuse anyone. I did a video on Taurus and Uranus, and Taurus represents the Hierophant and Uranus represents the Fool. And this was a very long video, so I can't even summarize everything I went into. But basically, when we have the Uranus meets Taurus, we have new innovations in belief systems, as I was mentioning before, with thoughts and ways of thinking about things and understanding the world. It shifts. We have new ways of, what can I make so that it's relevant? We have new ways of coming together as a community. That's something that is very prevalent. We have new ways of defining ourselves as a society. And from a level as to how it relates to you, just give me a minute to pause because my brain's like in overdrive. Let me pause for a second. What is attracting people to you is the fact that you have this strong sense of community and you want to revolutionize the way things are done so that is more beneficial and efficient for everyone. Like, you're wanting to bring in thoughts, perspectives, beliefs, systems. And I don't know if you're actively trying to do that or if you're just sharing your thoughts and your opinions on the world, but this combination of cards always has to do with wanting to uplift more communities or revolutionize things, or it's usually changes for the better, making improvements in how things are done. And for example, it may not always be beneficial, but it is about revolutionizing things. As I was saying, for example, the last time Uranus was in Taurus, in my last video that I pointed with Uranus in Taurus, blah, 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 the last time that happened, there was a lot of different changes. And one of the changes had to do with the food system. And Uranus is in Taurus now, so we're going through that process again, where food stamps became available. Not only that, but there had to be more of a more concise way for people to gain access to, I guess, food. It's just food, things that they put in their body. And there had to be a way to make food more sustainable so that everyone's needs could be met. So that's how food stamps sort of came about. That was one of the changes in food. I haven't done a full historic deep dive into food, but I know there was a lot of changes around the time of the last time Uranus was in Taurus. You had people trying to connect with each other and share what they had for the most part. Obviously, minorities still suffered significantly, but people were willing to share what they had and come together to just survive as a community. And they had to be very resourceful and work what they had. I mean, you could even look on YouTube. There was this woman, I think she died, but she had a channel for Great Depression cooking, and you can see how resourceful people had to be around that time period when it came to their resources and how they, what they ate and what they put in their bodies. So there may be a sense of resourcefulness about you, but definitely what's coming through is that you're always thinking of how to benefit the lives of others and how to improve not just yourself, but the world around you, or at least your communities, okay? Your close-knit communities. With the Knight of Pentacles here, what is attracting people to you, not only that, but as I mentioned before, is you're able to look at a billion different perspectives. The Knight of Pentacles is a card I get when somebody's very like OCD, when they're very detail oriented, when they're looking at every little aspect into something, and that's you with this North Node energy. It is like I'm really, really detailed and looking at all the layers and all the happenings and all the scenarios and all the perceptions, and I'm looking at history and looking at science and I'm looking at this and I'm understanding other people's opinions and thoughts, and I'm bringing in other people into the discussions so that I can have a full scope and a full picture of things. So people are really liking your intelligence, the way you communicate, the way that you're focused on community, or at least forming close bonds and it seems like you want to uplift others. They like that you have a good sense of humor. Obviously, I should have mentioned that with the Fool and the Queen of Swords. I get that for a good sense of humor. And North Node is a strong indicator of being very critical, which is like a not good tactic. It's a good quality to have if you want to be a comedian. So being able to notice small details and blow it up in a way and exaggerate it so that it is relevant and funny, and also a way to make smart commentary on things that are very serious. So there's a lot of different layers going on here. So people like that. They like that you're layered. They like that you are positive as well. They perceive you to be more positive. They like that you're detail oriented. They like that you have strong principles. They like that you're out here listening to others and taking in more details. I think people are really in love with your mind and how you think and how you express yourself in the world. It's very refreshing. Like you just have a refreshing spirit. I don't know how else to go into detail about this reading. If I were to summarize, the thing that's attracting people the most to you is the ability to express your thoughts and your opinions in a way that is very intellectual, but also easy to understand and common and easy to connect with other people. That's a pretty good summary. I don't know how else to add that. And then having that sense of humor as well is going to add to it. And then I also get the Lovers to be skills as well. So you may have a skill or something that you practice, or even a business, because I do get the Lovers to be representing of businesses. That can also be something that would be attracting people to you. You know, if you're selling something, you know, hey, people might want to come. But yeah, that's something that's really important. And then lastly, I would say your voice, like literally the sound of your voice, could be something that people find very, very attractive about you. And then I can also get the Hierophant to represent face and neck as well. So that's something that could be very, very attractive, or you might have a unique face. That could be the thing too. That's really drawing people in. Maybe you have a unique face, or maybe you have a unique voice. Maybe you have a good singing voice. I mean, this card I have gotten for to be like an entertainer, and then the Hierophant is, you know, someone, it's a card connected to Taurus with your voice, so you could have a good singing voice as well. You're like an old soul. I mean, I don't know where that came from, but that's really like, people feel like you're a little bit of an old soul trapped in like a new person's body. Okay, it's interesting because we got this strong balance of youthfulness and maturity coming through, where you're guiding, you're teaching other people, and you're educating other people, and you're expressing things that they themselves are thinking or they have felt before, but they don't. I'm not saying that they don't expect that from you. To some degree, yes, because the North Node's about surprises. So, you know, you gotta expect the unexpected when it comes to you a little bit. But it's more like, wow, the word is refreshing. That's the word for this reading. It's like, man, thank you. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for putting that out there. You are like, I don't know how old you are, but people feel like you're a very mature person and you give a good perspective. So that is what I have for you. I'm hyping you up, pile number 3, but let me move on to the next pile. It's been great to read for you. I hope to see you next time. Au revoir. Hey, pile number 4, let's not waste any time and see what attracts people to you. We have the Ace of Cups. We have the Tower. So you have that intense, maybe intense anger. Maybe just a very passionate person. That's possibly true. Page of Swords, the Star, and the 8th house. Whoa, you got the intense emotions. So you're shaking people's foundation up. Wow. Okay, so as I mentioned before, with the Ace of Cups and the Tower and the 10 of Wands, I do have to throw that out there that you are a passionate person. It is hard to miss, right? So what's drawing people in is your strong passion. Like, you are that tower of truth here, and you're the person who's throwing out those raw facts and that raw reality, and you're passionate about what you say, and you may seem, to some people, it could come off overwhelming and argumentative, or it could come off like, wow, this person really, truly cares. Like, you are the ultimate fighter for something. Nobody's changing your position. They're not changing your thought on something, because with the 10 of Wands, that's an overload of information. You're coming with the facts here, and the Tower does represent truth. So what you're saying and what you're putting out there is just straight up facts, okay? No doubt about it. Okay, stop saying okay, it's annoying, but 100% that is what attracting people to you. And with the Ace of Cups being that first card, I always get the Ace of Cups to be an overflow of emotion, just having a very emotional day. Now, it could be happy, it could be sad, but because we have it next to the Tower, I usually get that to be, Tower is usually anger, sexual desire, or it's like I said before, it's not like you're angry. It's more like frustration over something, like, or excitement. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, oh my God, I love this thing so much. I could talk about this all day, and I have that joy in my voice, or just like you have that charge up, that like that animation behind it. You're excited. You really want to be involved with that. But those are the main three emotions I get associated with this card. And so those are probably the things that are attracting people to you. So as I mentioned before, it could be that you've got that spicy fierceness that comes off and you're like, dang, this person's got some attitude on them. Or it's coming off like this person is really got a strong desire for life, because with the Tower here and the Ten of Wands, you really wouldn't be putting in all that work, and you really wouldn't be feeling all these emotions if you didn't care so much, if you didn't have that depth of emotion, if you were just uninvolved in life, if you really didn't care, you wouldn't be so intense. All right. Ten of Wands here. Now that with the Tower, as I said before, it's going to be a little bit more sexual, especially with the 8th house here, connecting straight to sexuality. Now in Vedic astrology, I was doing this research study on people who did the most adult filming, etc. And the sign of Scorpio came up the most, which connects to the 8th house Scorpio. So your sexuality and is really, really expressing himself. And I do get cups to represent sexuality as well. It's more sensual though. But yeah, the cups definitely have a sexual nature to them, especially with the Ten of Wands next to it and the Tower. So the emotions and the sexuality, the combination, you're an intense person, man. Like, I'm not even gonna like sugarcoat this. Like, your energy, even if it's not your personality that's coming like rah, 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 it's like your energy is very like, whoa, this is a lot to take in when I'm looking at this person. Maybe you got intense eye contact going on here. Maybe you got body yaddy yaddy. That's also possible. I always get the Ten of Wands and the Tower to represent an intense sexual attraction towards someone. So I have a feeling that maybe you have that thing that's, you know, driving the girls or guys crazy. I don't know. But it's a very intense combination, as I said. Same with the 8th house ruling that connection to adult filming, or a sign of Scorpio in Vedic. I think that would be Libra though, and Libra and Scorpio in Western. But Page of Swords here, you know, Page of Swords is just somebody who's just giving their thoughts and their opinions on things. So making conversation, saying what you think, putting yourself out there, you know, that's pretty much the norm. Like, especially with the Star, you may be putting your thoughts out there on social media. You may be doing this just in a group that you're in. If you're part of that, maybe just between coworkers. Sometimes I get the Star to rule coworkers. It's usually like 6th house though, or, you know, some other placement that would do that. But yeah, the Star can represent that. Just your wanting to travel, you're wanting to see the world, you're wanting to connect to other people, your desire for diversity. These are all the Star cards going on here. And then the Star also represents calm, which seems kind of a lot different versus the Tower going on here. So I think it has to do with the extreme emotions, or the extreme ups and downs in your thinking process, or how you express yourself, where you can be so riled up, but then you're just like very peaceful, very like, it's all right, just chill, like it's not, you know, no big deal. And people are like, what's going on here? This person is two different personalities, okay? And then I get the 8th house to, I mean, obviously the sexuality becomes very important with this reading, but I also get the 8th house to represent being in a crisis-like situation, and the Tower here too. So maybe there's an element to you that feels, I don't know, dangerous, or feels like, you know, like you look at someone and you're like, man, that person's got a fierce intensity. I don't want to cross them. And so that could be drawing people into you. Like some people like a bad guy or a bad girl or something like that. And maybe they feel like you have bad boy, bad girl energy or something. And that's what's drawing people in. You look youthful too. So that's one thing that's going to be a part of the appeal. The star card is connected to the sign of Aquarius. And what I notice about Aquarius is the overall arching theme has to do with you versus the masses, which makes sense because this card is known as the water bearer. And the water bearer is someone who has to carry the burdens of society because they're the one who is strong enough to deal with the pressure. So I did a recent video about the nakshatra Shravana, and it's a moon ruled nakshatra, and it takes place in the Vedic sign Aquarius. And in that video I mentioned the story of Samson because a lot of actors who play Samson will have Shravana placements. And the reason for this is because the placement of Shravana has to do with taking on the moral burden and making a sacrifice, sacrificing your own happiness, your own personal fulfillment in order to create a better society. And if you look at an example in real life, that would be like Rosa Parks. How she basically had to sacrifice her nights, her weekends, her days to help the next generation have the freedoms that she didn't have her entire life. So that's something that's part of Shravana's deal. When it comes to another placement, we can look at Danishta. Now, Danishta is usually like the social media stars, or not even just social media, just media stars in general. So people like Megan Thee Stallion, Princess Diana, Marilyn Monroe, who also had Danishta. That's a popular placement. I can't think of anyone else right now, but a lot of popular, like really well-known people. Oh God, the creator of the tarot, the Rider-Waite tarot deck, who drew the initial drawings. Pamela, goodness, I can't remember her name, but she drew the drawings of the original tarot deck. She had her son in Danishta. And one thing that happens with this placement would be they have to make sacrifices. In the case of the original person who did the tarot deck, she didn't get paid a lot of money for this. So she sacrificed her time and her creativity. I think she wrote in a letter to a friend that this was a lot of work for not a lot of money. So she's sacrificing her time, her efforts, her thoughts, her interpretations, her skills, her ability to channel the divine, her own personal, stress and happiness in order so that years later, someone like me can be on YouTube and through her blood, sweat, and tears can interpret cards for a living. And Megan Thee Stallion would be a pretty good example of what happens to a lot of Danishta women. Same with Marilyn Monroe, where their sexuality or their ability to express themselves will attract a lot of negativity and a lot of haters. And so they themselves have to bear the brunt of the burden of that negative reaction that people are getting. So another person this happened to would be Paris Hilton. And you can see how when she was famous, she's still famous, but when she was at the height of her fame, you saw how people had that really intense negative reaction to her. Her body was exposed against her will. Obviously, she had that adult tape that she was coerced into doing, and that becomes a lesson to society. They almost become guinea pigs for, women's rights or men's rights or gender violence. They become like these examples or these scapegoats to go to. So that's something I wanted to throw in. So how is this relevant to you? Basically, what I'm trying to say is people may see that you are putting in a lot of time and effort in order to make a better world for other people. And it could be a small difference, like how I don't even know if that's a small difference, like the Rider-Waite creator tarot deck, you know, created these images so that people can connect with their spirituality or make connections with other people, or, you know, connect to the divine in some way. Or it could be something like they see you, you know, sacrificing your time to uplift a community, or taking the time to educate others, or taking the time to really put yourself out there in order to leave some sort of impact, hopefully for the greater good. So people are gaining something from your words and what you have to say, and the messages that you put out there yourself in the world. And these messages are deep, and people are connecting to them in an intimate way, and they're really finding that it's giving them a chance to heal themselves. So I don't know what you're saying to people, or how you're connecting people, or how you're moving through the world, but it really gives people an opportunity to move forward, or at least some sort of safe haven or ability to find peace, or just to make life just a little bit better. So that's really attracting people to you. The ability to make them feel just a little bit better, a little bit more connected, a little bit more at peace, having a little bit more happiness within their lives. That's something that I see within these cards here. So sorry that I go on these long tangents. I just really want you to understand the meaning and connect to these cards, so that it's very intrinsic. If you're really into tarot, that you just get it like that, and you're just like, oh, I got it. I know it. I know the themes. But yeah, that's what I want to express for you, pal number 4. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Au revoir. Hey astronauts, it's me, Brandy, and let's get started on your reading, pal number 5. Yeah, we're in the last pal. I can't believe it. Page of Swords. Ooh, we got that for another pal as well. So people are really gonna like your opinions and how you expressed yourself, and the messages that you're putting out there in the world, especially when we have it right next to that 8 of Wands. So no doubt about it, they like you expressing your opinions. They like you expressing your thoughts. What's drawing people in is your words, more so than anything. We have Mars. That goes back to having those strong opinions as well. Mars people really do like to pull away from nuance sometimes, only because it causes that excitement, and you can stir debate, you can create the drama. It's really just about entertaining and having fun. Like sometimes it's malicious, but from my perspective, what I've seen, a lot of Mars rule people are just can kind of be like very bored. Just think of what's a Mars rule placement? Migashira, and this sign happens within the sign of Gemini and Western, and Taurus and Gemini and Vedic. And when I think of Migashira, I think of someone who just does things to just stir the pot because they're bored. They're bored. You know, everybody knows Geminis can be kind of like, what is wrong with this person? Why are you doing that? Okay, because they like to just throw things out there, create that controversy, and it's like, for what? It's because they're bored. They want to be entertained. So they like that you're coming up with topics to entertain people, that you're saying things that provoke thought, that especially with the Hangman here, man, all these cards are really just lining up. This is probably the easiest reading from the spread. You're provoking thought, you're provoking issues, you're throwing, hey, what do you think of this? I can't even think of a popular topic right now. What do you think of Britney Spears's, I don't know what to call it. It's conservatorship or something like that. You're throwing that out there, and people are like, oh, well, I think this and I think that, and you're giving your own opinions on things. So that's really drawing people in. Second thing that Mars is known for is body, yaddy, 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 yaddy. So you could have a body that has features that are just very, very attractive. That's mainly what Mars rule people are known for, just the physical body, okay? Having abs, muscles, da-da-da, or just For women, I guess whatever popular or trendy, it changes. Obviously, the Mars placements are in air signs and Vedic, and air signs have to do with changeability. And Mars definitely connects to social desirability and desirability politics. And that's going to be one thing that's attracting people to you. Maybe they feel like your body type fits into the standard that is out there in the media currently, or maybe not all of your body type, but maybe certain features you may have are meeting that beauty standard. So that's what's drawing people into you as well. But I mean, this reading is so concise and so to the point with everything that I don't even know how much I can expand on it. I'm just being honest. It's just really, body and what you got to say, your opinions, that controversy, that lack, that creating polarity is something that's going to really draw people out there. You're coming up with the topics. You're really thinking about things to say, and it's just like fun and light things to think about. It doesn't even have to be that deep. I mean, you can go deep if people want you to go that deep with these discussions and these thoughts, but for the most part, you're just there to communicate. You're there to make sure these conversations are being had. And like I said, it can be something very light conversation. It can be something very important, okay? So the Hangman, I always get this, not always, I get this placement for a lot of different reasons. But because we have the Eight of Wands next to it, it makes me think that we're talking about perspective and perception more than any other quality that the Hangman may have. And they like that you bring your own unique perspective to things. I feel like I'm repeating the same thing, but that's only because these cards are so clear cut. They're so clear cut that I'm like, I don't know. But they like that you're bringing your own unique perspective to the table. The Hangman also connects to the sign of Pisces, and Pisces connects to having ultimate creativity and isolation. So basically being within your own realm, your own subconscious, your own thoughts. So there is a strong element of creativity that may be drawing people into you, especially since we have the next card being the Page of Cups here. And those cards can be very artistic and like to express themselves in a way that's unique. I know I've gotten the Page of Cups to represent someone. I wouldn't say they're necessarily an artist, this person, but the way they took their photos was in a unique way or in an artistic way. So maybe they are kind of like artistic. I guess, I don't know. It was just the way that they would angle their cameras or take photographs. I wish I could explain that. But basically the angles that they took the photos of themselves, it wasn't just like, oh, I'm taking a selfie. It's like I'm taking some sort of like artistic version of a selfie. It's not just, oh, hold my camera up to my face and take a picture. They may have had like them taking a picture of a camera, which takes a picture of them, okay? Or taking picture of a video, when you walk into a store and you have that video monitor like coming in and you can see your face. They may take a picture of that or have somebody else take a picture of that, and it's like picturing them. So it's almost like this hallway of mirrors and lights that's coming in. So that's the way they would like take pictures. It's not as always direct. So it's giving that way. So that's what I'm trying to say. There's an element of creativity about you. And I don't know, it could be something as simple as how you take your photographs or selfies, or it could be something about the way that you dress. It could be something about the way that it's not really smell. If it was Pentacles, I would say more smell. It could be something about your personal face, because I do get cups and Pages of Cups to represent more face, and Pages of Swords represent more sharp features. So having a very defined sharp features in your face would be that, but Page of Cups is also someone who's just very, very pretty-ish. Even if you're a guy, this would be like, oh, you're a pretty boy. That's something that, usually I get with the Page of Cups if it represents a guy. With the Strength card here, this may not resonate for everyone, but I have to mention this only because Strength and Mars are so connected in that way, because they both have that fire energy going on with them. And it has to do with not only your ability to have patience, but to be very literal, you may just look strong. Like, you may look fit, you may look in shape, you may look muscular, you may look like you have very defined features. That could possibly be one of the reasons why you have sharp features or something like that. But you just may just look very defined. That's just going to be for some of you, not for everyone. For those for those that interpretation does not apply to, this would indicate that people just generally find you to be a very patient person, and that's what's attracting them to you, especially when we have the Hangman and the Strength card. Both of these cards have to do with, you know, having patience, letting go of control, in the sense that you know that you can't control everything like that, not your own personal sense of control. In fact, the Hangman would have a lot to do with self-control as well as strength. So they feel like you have a lot of self-control. They feel like you have you're very disciplined within yourself. And then also I get the Hangman to be someone who can weather through very difficult circumstances, who can remain a positive person, or at least a person who doesn't give up, even though they are, you know, obviously on their last leg, no pun intended. Like that. So that's something that I've seen a quality about the Hangman as well. And then this can also have to do with, in this case, if there were different cards around it, I would mention privacy. But because we have the Eight of Wands next to it, it's pertaining to the fact that you're putting possibly even some information that could be very raw and personal to you and vulnerability out there. Like, you're just being honest and true to yourself. And that's what's going to really draw people in. Your sense of honesty and being open to other people and talking about your life and your experiences and the things that you've gone through, because the Eight of Wands is definitely someone who wants to talk about the things that they've experienced in their own lives, and the thing that makes them strong, and the things that helps, you know, that brought about their perspective and their place within the world. I can also get this to represent someone who kind of wants to pull people together. And the Page of Cups I often get for someone who's almost like lending out like a hand, like, hey, come play with me, come talk to me. You know, sometimes it's apologies. It's like saying, oh, I'm so sorry I did that. I didn't mean to do that. Like, I really like you, but I didn't mean to, you know, do that or something like that. Other times it's more welcoming, like, come on, let's go hang out. I want to go do this. What, you know, what do you want to do today? It's stuff like that. So the openness with you, the friendliness is coming in strong for other people, but you're not doing too much. You're not like over exaggerated. You're not over the top. You can play it cool, but you're very fun. Like, that's probably your biggest strength. The fact that you're very fun, not your biggest, but it's one of your biggest strengths. The fact that you're fun, the fact that you're not coming in with this harsh energy. You're not trying to, I don't know, cause any havoc. I mean, you may do it for like, yeah, opinion wise, like, oh, let me just throw a crazy opinion out there, but you're not trying to like hurt anyone. That's what I'm looking for. You're not trying to be malicious. And I think people see the genuineness in you, and that's what's really attracting them to you. And then excuse me, also, the main thing, if we're going to go off appearance basis, what's attracting people to you is your youthfulness. And they're seeing that you're able to have a strong willingness to learn and hear and communicate with other people. You're not a person who's like, okay, here is the 5 people I know and I'm not talking to anybody else. You know, you're not like no new friends, no new friends. You actually wouldn't mind, I don't know if making friends, but at least making acquaintances, at least, you know, talking to people, wanting to form bonds. I always get Mars ruled people to always trying to like, let's go on a trip. Let's do this. Let's go travel here. I want to go to this place. Like they have that excitement to wanting to go out and bring people together, or at least be around other people or talk to other people. They I don't know, they like need it. Okay. So they may see that within you. You do have those moments where you're like, yeah, I need to be to myself because the hangman's here, but not for the most part, but you do have another side to you that's also, hey, I want to talk to people. I want to be around people. I want to socialize. I want to connect. I want to learn. I want to grow. I want to educate myself. And I want to be a solid person that feels connected to the world around me. And then the Strength card is also connected to Leo. I get that to represent education, being interested in history. So you may know a lot. You may be very educated or have a strong sense of history, the past, events. Maybe you just have a lot of knowledge within you. And then this also connects back to the creativity aspect within you. So you may just have a strong sense of creativity. And then I also get Mars to rule craftsmanship as well. So that also connects to creativity. Mars rule people like doing things with their hands and creating things and being a part of the foundation of like if they were to start a company, they want to be part of the beginning all the way up. They want to be there from scratch so they can be part of the building process. They really want to be involved in all layers and details. And when I was doing a video of billionaires, one of the placements for Mars that was very popular among billionaires was a Mars placement, which is, you know, I guess Mars was in its own placements, and that was Mega Sheeran. And it had to do with wanting to be involved in not only just one avenue, but they may have different streams of income. That was pretty much the main thing that the focus became on, and just making very impulsive decisions and not waiting for having a lot of research and thinking things through and second guessing themselves. They just kind of went for it. So that could be something that really attracts people to you, that you're not wasting any time. You're just going for it. You're like, okay, I see this, I want to go for it. I see this job, I'm gonna apply. I heard there's a festival, I gotta go to it. Oh my God, this concert's coming up, let me buy tickets. Like they just see that you don't waste your time. You really value life. You see that your days are not for certain, and you're out there just jumping in and going for it and taking life by the horns. I don't even think that's a saying, but but that's what I'm saying to you. So that is what I have for you, pal, number 5. That's what really draws people in. And then also you're very sweet and kind of like maybe a little bit romantic, and that's drawing people in. All right. So I will see you next time. Au revoir.